Thank you so much for attending the Drunk History panel. How many Drunk History fans do we have here in the audience today? Ladies and gentlemen, I am a fan of Drunk History. I was a fan of it before it was on television when I saw my friend Mark Gagliardi drunkenly try to explain how Aaron Burr shot Alexander Hamilton. And then I was hooked. I am thrilled to have seen this show make it to television, see so many of my friends in it, and I'm thrilled to be making my Drunk History debut in season 3 as a narrator. I look forward to discovering what I said along with all of you. Thank you so much for being here, ladies and gentlemen. Are you ready to meet our panel? Please welcome the host and co-creator of Drunk History, Mr. Derek Waters.
It worked better in rehearsal.
Yeah,
Thank you.
It's Drunk History, not Drunk Present.
Oh, sorry.
Please welcome director and co-creator Jeremy Konner.
Woo!
Please welcome narrator and guest reenactor Paget Brewster. Woo! And finally, please welcome guest reenactor Taran Killam.
Yeah!
Now, I bet you're wondering who's going to be sitting in those empty chairs. The answer is no one. We have a space for up to 4 Elijahs.
That's right.
I am a huge fan of this show, and I'm very excited to be doing this panel. One of the things that I love about Drunk History is that you really feel for the people that are trying to tell the stories. In a show that could feel very exploitative, and it could feel like you're just making fun of people, you're just getting them drunk to mock them, I never doubt for a second that everyone is on that person's side as they struggle to tell this story. And I think that's why it could never be high history, right? You can't just, because you wouldn't put up with somebody being high trying to tell a story for 2 seconds.
And
it would be so irritating.
And they would all be theories of what they would have done.
Exactly. Yeah. They also would not be struggling to stay on topic, which is one of the most charming things about the show, is the real effort that it takes. Is this something that, from the earliest days of the YouTube videos that you guys did, so it went from you just made your own YouTube videos to Funny or Die to eventually being on Comedy Central. Was that something that you knew right away was a big part of the success of these films, or was that something that you discovered in time?
We discovered it in time. It was something that I was doing a show at the Upright Citizens Brigade in LA called, my show was called LOL. Yeah, UCB, 10 years, you got it. Sorry, always got to give a shout out to Brody. And it was just a one-time thing, just to see if this idea would work. And
that was the first video with Mark Gagliardi.
Right, yeah. Michael Cera as Alexander Hamilton and Jake Johnson as Aaron Burr, who was the inspiration for Drunk History. After a night of drinking, he was trying to convince me that Otis Redding knew he was going to die on the plane, and I knew it wasn't true, and I just kept picturing Otis Redding shaking his head behind Jake. So I wanted to reenact that, but everyone gets drunk and talks about music, but what's something people don't get drunk and talk about? Things of importance, history. So yeah, and then after that, we put it on the old, remember YouTube?
I do remember.
Remember YouTube had a front page? Remember that?
There was like a top 10.
Yeah.
Everyone had to look at the top 10 if you went to YouTube.
And it went on there, and a man by the name of Jack Black saw it and said he wanted to be Ben Franklin. And so he said, all right, let's do that video again. Yeah.
But, okay, so when did you realize the thing about the empathy? When did you realize, like, it's not, because you could have just cut it and made it so that the person telling the story is a ridiculous fool.
Sure.
But it never comes off that way. Well, and what do you have to do to make sure that it doesn't come off that way?
Have people talk about things that they love. And the question is, what is a moment in history that you love that you want more people to know about? And alcohol has this funny thing of giving you confidence and lack thereof making any sense. So I call it frustrated passion. So, but everyone can relate to that.
I also think that our Constitution, in many ways, was Mark Gagliardi's narration, and he happens to be, an incredibly empathetic and brilliant storyteller.
Right.
So after that, we sort of knew, oh, this is the model.
The template was right there.
Yeah.
Yeah. The production value of the show has changed from the early days of YouTube. And I was rewatching some of the episodes, and I was struck by, and I guess this is the thing that I realized, but it didn't really occur to me black and white in my head until rewatching it, that it's beautifully shot. Like, it looks amazing, even though it's very easy to focus on like the crazily oversized mustaches and people's hats are too small and stuff like that. But I think part of the success of the show and why you buy it is that everything is shot like it's the real thing, like you were actually making Lincoln. And how quickly were you able to adjust to that level of production value?
Oh man, I think we're still adjusting to it, you know.
But it's very hard to actually fight to get the mustaches, and you know, when you get all this money and you get all these people who are so good at their jobs, it's so crazy how good these people are. You sometimes have to fight for those stupid mustaches.
Like, why are you wearing purple sneakers? It's 1862. Like, well, because it's drunk history. That's the easiest way to get. I can always say, well, it's drunk history. Like, all right, cool. But I will say, we try, the comedy of it is that I'm not describing what comedy is, but, you know,
do it.
to explain, like, the good, why I don't feel bad that it looks that good is, like, the comedy is the amazing narrator who's funny, who happens to be intoxicated, telling a true story, taking that, and then everything we have to try as hard as we can to make a history show, not a comedy show. Once we've done the narration, now let's try to make this as sincere as possible. Yeah, like, these guys are trying as hard as they can to make a history show.
Jeremy, as the director, is there any particular shots that you are particularly proud of pulling off? Because there must have been some. There's a lot of cinematography that is going on there. There's a lot of amazing camera work. Is there something that was a challenge to you that you were able to pull off that you remember to this day as a victory?
A lot of times I'll just show Blake, our cinematographer, like a shot from Goodfellas or something, and I'll just say,
You've seen that, right?
I've seen How many Goodfellas fans do we have here?
It's a good one.
It's a pretty good movie.
Great
It's a pretty
film.
good movie.
But showing shots.
And I'll just say, can we do this? And he will pull off some of the perfect, even just in the pilot, there's a shot where Tim Heidecker walks up to Nick Offerman, and I just did this move that I was so proud of. That was the first real time in the show that I was like, wow, this looks like a real show, or a movie. I mean, we're doing something, you know, bigger than we were doing on the internet.
You shoot most of these interviews in people's homes. Have neighbors ever complained?
That's a great question. The only time I remember we were shooting Jen Kirkman, not to name drop, we had a shooter at a hotel, and I remember this Australian. He was trying to sleep, mate, and we was being too loud. That's my Australian Outback Steakhouse waiter character. But no, there haven't been any noise complaints. Cops have never been called. I wish I had a good story, Paul. I'm sorry. I want to be on the show Cops, so
Derek?
maybe I'll try it next season.
Derek, for what it's worth, I wish you had a good story too.
Thank you.
There's not a lot of stuff that you guys have shot and don't use necessarily. I know there was a story about the noted serial killer H.H. Holmes, who built a murder castle
Yes.
in Chicago around the time of the World's Fair, told by Paget Brewster.
Woo!
And this one did not make it to the show.
Paul, it turns out serial killers aren't that funny. It's weird.
No, he killed a couple of kids. It turned real dark.
We thought it'd be hilarious. No, but it is, H.H. Holmes is a great story, but it was when we were just trying to figure out, let's do all types of stories, But yeah, there's some stuff that we did a Donner Party one that.
We didn't do that.
People eating people, not that funny.
Maybe we'll save it for a Halloween episode.
Yeah. Maybe.
When eating people is funny.
That's the one day a year we all agree it's hilarious. I did a narration this year for the upcoming season.
It was
and
so
it
good.
Was, well, I guess I'll find out. It was.
It's incredible.
I was hesitant to do it for the longest time, and you'd asked me the past 2 seasons, and I was really afraid to do it because the level of vulnerability that is involved is high, and my heart goes out to the people, always would go out to the people who are doing it, and I was like, I don't know if I could ever do that. But then I finally realized I wanted to have that experience, and it was quite an experience. And I remember I told the story buzzed, and I got through, and I was like, that was pretty good. And then I told the story drunk, and I was like, that was still pretty good. Then, the next thing I knew, I was waking up at a kitchen table, and they were making me eat pizza.
We're putting food in them. We're
They said,
feeding them.
It's time for you to go home. And I was like, all right.
And that's a testament to all the people that we do. I mean, it is a true note of trust. And that Jeremy and I always, when we leave, we're like, we got to make this the coolest reenactment ever, so they don't feel like they didn't do this for just for kicks. You know?
Paget, was it hard for you to say yes the first time you did it?
Oh, no. I had been asking Mark Gagliardi to ask them for 4 years if I could do a reenactment or be a drunk historian. It took years, but I did it.
She's the best. She's the best.
Absolutely.
The hard part was, however, the first year, I told the story of the Kellogg brothers, and thank you, and then told H.H. Holmes. So
In the same
was
night.
in the same night. Now
Now I can tell you right now.
Now we only
that
do
was a
one.
mistake.
Yeah.
Why would you ever do that?
This was something we did with all the narrators. We had them do 2 stories a night, and then we would also shoot
to another
2
person.
narrators a night.
It's a terrible idea.
It was a full 12 hours.
I wish you guys had asked me. I would have told you not to do that.
Tell my doctor. My doctor agreed.
Your doctor agreed?
Yeah, he didn't want me to do it either.
Well, because you
I
drink along
right.
with the narrators.
Yeah, there's drink.
Well, yeah, that's on you.
Yeah. All right.
There's no.
All right. Point taken.
No one's asking you to do that.
All right.
But yeah, after telling one story, I mean, we started H.H. Holmes at midnight, and I had been informed to begin drinking at 3 in the afternoon.
This was a season 1. We didn't know.
Season 1. Figuring it
Now,
out.
you also actually have to be legally drunk.
Legally.
You have to continue blowing a breathalyzer to prove that you are over .08.
This actually isn't true.
That's not true.
What?
The reason why you blow into that is to make sure we know where you're at.
To make sure that you're not too drunk. We have to make sure that you're like.
We're looking out for you.
I thought there was like
We're here to help you.
standards and practices that you're not allowed to call it drunk history unless they're definitely drunk.
That is the weirdest.
What
That's
standards
real?
and practices would have a clause in there?
Season 4, she's telling the history of standards and practices. She clearly has
please.
so much work to do.
Yes, please.
Oh, wow.
Taran, you've done 2 episodes as a reenactor.
3, yeah.
3.
One each
Okay,
season.
One for
yeah.
this season? Great.
Yes.
What did you take away from the first time you did it, going into the second one, that made it easier, if anything?
It is already the easiest job in the world, which is why I love it, just because all the work is done for you.
It is a bit of a skill to do that lip syncing and have it match up perfectly when there's all these little hems and haws, noises, hiccups and burps and things like that.
Sure.
Like the timing of that, you have to kind of be good at that.
Sure.
right?
Yeah, there's something musical. It's like listening to a song over and over again, and that's how you learn the lyrics to the song. So it's like that. But it's just so much fun. And I too saw, the first one I saw was Jack Black's Ben Franklin, and Derek and I met at the premiere of Hall Pass. So already
Thank you,
emotions
please.
were high. And we broed out pretty
Yeah,
quickly.
we broed out
it was
immediately.
quick and intense,
Yeah.
and I regret none of it.
No. We had a hall pass on life.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know what that meant.
And that we get to kill ourselves one
Yeah.
time for free?
I think it was a Thelma.
What the hell is
Yeah.
Hall Pass on Life?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Cool. I'm glad I haven't cashed in on that yet. No, but I was such a big fan of his and excited to meet him. And then once it went to series, I think I reached out immediately and said, please, any small anything. And they were very kind to let me do Lewis and Clark with Tony Hale, which was awesome.
You guys need
best.
to have your own show. You and Tony Hale
That
are
was
a
just-
killer combo.
So
It's
great.
it's perk upon perk in that, like, you know, at SNL you're literally responsible for coming up with your own ideas. Here you don't even have to come up with like the intonation of what you're saying. It's all done for you, and you get to meet the coolest, funniest, nicest people, and it's run by the two of the coolest, nicest people. And you hang out all day and you lip sync, and you wear stupid wigs, purposefully tilted to the side. It's truly the best, and it's just layer upon layer of comedy. Because you're right, you empathize with the person, you're feeling for them. You also kind of want to watch the car crash that is this person, you know, losing consciousness. But then you learn stuff too, and then the reenactments are so funny, and you know that's the little bit as on the performance side that you get to add is just the physicality you bring to it, or you know, within the movement and the blocking. But I just thought it was the best idea ever because it is human history. I mean, humans have passed on history by sitting around the campfire drinking and retelling stories, like before there was print, before there was anything. So I feel it's like inherent to our DNA, just as a species, and that's why the second I saw it, I was like, oh yeah, this is what I like to do with my friends. This I know. And Paget earlier said that it's kind of the production of it is like going back to when you were a kid, if you happen to do this as a kid, which I did, and filming movies with your friends in the backyard, and like, oh, we need a cape, use the blanket and stuff. It has that charm and it has that passion, and everybody who shows up to do it, certainly on the reenactment side, are happy to be there, want to be there, and it always makes for just the best, most fun day. It's truly, like, professionally, for what is a job, it's my favorite thing to do.
I love you, Taran.
Yeah.
That was really nice.
Paget, did you gain any insights being a reenactor after you had been a narrator?
Yeah, it is actually. Taran's so great at matching that dialogue. It is a little nerve-wracking trying to sync up with something where someone's stuttering and burping and halting around. I wonder if anyone knows that every reenactment is shot in one day. So that's an incredible amount of work.
Yeah.
In one day to shoot that whole story, and these guys do an incredible job at it because no one's screaming or freaking out. Everyone's genuinely having a great time, you know, syncing up their mouth to a recorded drunk. I was very impressed.
Yeah.
At first, because the process is you play the recording. When you're on set, you're playing the recording over and over and over again.
Yeah, on a loop like a music video.
Yeah. Which I would imagine at first people did not like hearing this, who didn't have to worry about lip syncing to it, who maybe just had to hold a microphone or operate a camera, that it might have been frustrating to hear this over and over again. Did the crew get used to it after a while?
Yeah, well, luckily they did. I mean, our crew's the best, and they'll repeat the lines over and over again. And I mean, it sounds cliche or cheesy, but like, you know, having a crew that likes what they're doing, you know, our job is so fun, and when you work on something that everybody wants to be there, you can get stuff done in a day because everyone's working for the same thing. So, but I go crazy when I hear shit over and over again. You have a good analogy that it becomes like we're on the Pirates of the Caribbean ride and we're just going over.
But that was specifically about Crispin Glover when we were shooting with him, because we were playing it on a loop and we were all setting up, and then I would just look over and see Crispin Glover doing his thing and then reset and then just doing it.
Oh, right. Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God, this is like one of the pirates on the Pirates of the Caribbean.
New episodes of the show start in September. Can you give us very quickly any hints about guest stars that you're going to have?
Octavia Spencer from The Help. That's pretty cool.
Oscar-winning actress.
She won an
Octavia Spencer.
Oscar.
That's what that means. Oscar
Parker
winning.
Posey, one of my favorites, is in Paget's story. Will Ferrell, Josh Hartnett, as my mom calls Josh Hartnett.
Maya
That was
Rudolph.
Maya Rudolph.
Man, it's packed.
It's packed. Giancarlo Esposito, Gus Frehley,
We have a bunch of cool themes as well. this year.
Spies, and the clip, not to do your job, but in the clip is from one of our theme episodes. We did the history of games. So,
Derek, Let's watch that clip now.
Oh, you have it? You have it, Paul?
Yeah, I have it.